4.1b Types of variables and level of measurement. Variables. A variable is a characteristic understudy that assumes different values. Example: height, weight, qualification, color, and temperature. There are two types of variables. So first, let's discuss about quantitative variable. So quantitative variable can be measured or counted numerically. Example: height of student, weight of babies, and price of cars. So the data collected on quantitative variables are called quantitative data. Next, qualitative variable. So this variable cannot assume a numerical value but can classify into two or more non-numerical categories. Example of this variable: types of jobs, academic qualifications, color of cars. The data collected on qualitative variables are called qualitative data. Quantitative variables can be classified as discrete variable and continuous variable. Discrete variable is a variable whose values are countable, assume only certain values with no intermediate values. Example: the number of cars sold on any day, and the number of students in a class, the number of accidents. Whereas continuous variable is a variable that can assume an infinite number of values between any two specific values. They are obtained by measuring and often include fractions and decimal. Example of the variable are the height of students, the weight of newborn babies, and room temperature. So the diagram shows the relationship between types of variable. Discuss this example. Determine whether the following variables are quantitative or qualitative variables. Marital status of people. So this is qualitative variable, also known as a categorical variable. This variable cannot assume a numerical value but can be classified into two or more non-numerical categories. Marital status of people can be classified as single, married, divorced, and widowed. Next, time to commute from home to school. This is quantitative variable because it can be measured or counted numerically. So the variable time is measured. Example: it may take 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 25 minutes and so on to commute from home to school. Next, color of shirt. So this is a qualitative variable, also known as categorical variables, cannot assume a numerical value but can be classified into two or more non-numerical categories. Can be classified in different colors such as red, blue, yellow, and so on. Last example: number of typing error in a lab report. So this variable is quantitative because it can be measured or counted numerically. The variable of typing error is measured in this case. For example, there are maybe 5, 10, or 11 of typing errors in a lab report. Next example, determine whether the following variables are discrete or continuous variable. Temperature at Genting Highlands. So this is a continuous variable. This variable can assume an infinite number of values between any two specific values. They are obtained by measuring and often include fractions and decimals. Example. Temperatures at Genting Highlands was recorded at 22.1 degrees Celsius, 23.5 degrees Celsius, 24.3 degrees Celsius, and 25.0 degrees Celsius. So the figure include decimals. Next, monthly electricity bills. So this one is also continuous variable that can assume an infinite number of values between any two specific values and obtained by measuring and often include fraction and decimal. So this is the example of monthly electricity bills. Okay, so if you can see the figure, it takes decimal value. Next, number of mathematics books in the library. So this is discrete variable whose values are countable, assume only certain values with no intermediate values. Example, there are 30 mathematics books in the library. So this is true since 30 is a countable value. And then there are 30.5 mathematics books in the library. So this is false since 30.5 is in decimal or intermediate values. Next, number of female customers in a shop. So this one also a discrete variable that values are countable. Okay, look at the example. There are 15 female customers in a shop. So 15 is a countable value. Next, there are 14.7 female customers in the shop. So this one is false for discrete variable since 14.7 is in decimal. So I hope you will understand about the difference between discrete and continuous variable. Next, let's define about level of measurement. So level of measurement is variables that can classify by how they are categorized, counted, or measured. This type of classification is called measurement scales. There are 4 common types of scale used. This table describes about types of measurement scale. So first, we have nominal scale, which is qualitative. So this scale classifies data into mutually exclusive or non-overlapping categories in which no order or ranking can be imposed on the data. Here is the example of nominal scale. Gender, such as female and male. Nationality, religion, and eye color. Next scale is ordinal, which is qualitative. So this scale classifies into categories that can be ranked. However, precise differences between the ranks do not exist. Okay, the example of ordinal scale. Student grades. Ranking of badminton players such as ranking 1, ranking 2, ranking 3, and so on. So next, rating scale that we always use is poor, good, and excellent. The third scale is interval, which is quantitative. So this scale rank data and precise difference between units of measure do exist. However, there is no meaningful zero. Example, the temperature, pH, and IQ test. The last scale is about ratio. So this one is quantitative and it is possesses all the characteristic of interval measurement and there exists a true zero. In addition, true ratios exist when the same variable is measured on two different members of the population. Example for ratio scale: height, weight, time, and age. Example: determine the level of measurement would be used to measure each variable. Service rating in a restaurant. So the variable use the ordinal scale which is qualitative. Example of rating scale such as excellent, good, satisfactory, and poor. It can be categorized and ranked. So let's say excellent is the first rank, good is the second, satisfactory is the third, and poor is the fourth. The differences between the ranking cannot be measured. The next variable is hair color of children in kindergarten. The variable uses the nominal scale and it is qualitative. Example of hair color of children in kindergarten such as black, brown, and blonde. So the variable can be categorized but cannot be ranked. The order doesn't matter. You can rank whether start from black, brown, or blonde. And it is mutually exclusive. That means black hair color does not affect the brown color and so on. Next variable is the height of year 5 students. So this one is use the ratio scale and it is quantitative. Example of height of year 5 student are given as follows. So the variable can be ranked in ascending order and difference between the height of the student can be measured including ratio. And it has true zero, that means height cannot be 0 or below 0. The last variable is the lowest temperature for each day of a specific week. So it uses interval scale and it is quantitative. Here is the example of the temperature. So the variable can be ranked because it can be arranged in ascending order. The differences can be measured excluding ratio. And it has no true zero or meaningful zero. That means temperature can be below 0 degrees Celsius and into negative temperature. 4.1c Data collection and sampling methods. What is data collection and sampling methods? Data can be collected in a variety of ways. The most common methods are through surveys and observation. Example, telephone survey, questionnaire, and personal interviews. There are 4 basic methods of sampling in order to obtain a sample that are unbiased, that give each subject in the population an equally likely chance of being selected. The table shows the sampling method and its description. Okay, first method is random sampling. A sample in which all members of the population have an equal chance of being selected or randomly. Okay, to conduct this type of sampling, you can use tools like random number generators or other techniques that are based entirely on chance. Assign a number to every cast in database and use a random number generator to select a sample. The second method is systematic sampling. A sample obtained by selecting every kth member of the population where k is a counting number. Look at the diagram. Systematic sampling is similar to simple random sampling, but it is usually slightly easier to conduct. Every member of the population is listed with number 1 to 15. But instead of randomly generating numbers, individuals are chosen at regular interval, which is every member of multiple of 3. So the member selected for the sample with number 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. The third sampling method is stratified sampling. A sample obtained by dividing the population into subgroups or strata according to some characteristic relevant to the study. There can be several subgroups. Then subjects are selected at random from each group. The population is divided into subgroup or strata, men and women. Then calculation how many people should be made from each strata. Then selection member of each strata is being made to form a sample. And the last sampling method is cluster sampling, obtained by dividing the population into sections or clusters and then selecting one or more clusters at random and using all members in the cluster or clusters as the members of a sample. The diagram shows the population is divided into clusters, then selected one or more clusters at random to form a sample.